Iran's foreign minister insists there cannot be negotiations while Israeli strikes continue. Would the ceasefire be necessary in order for the parties to get back to the table?
Iran is not in a position to make demands like that. If Iran wants to end the war, if Iran wants to have a settlement that is good for its people, it has to start talking now and not making demands against the Israelis.
If President Trump authorizes military action, what would be the strategic goal of it?
Well, the president made clear recently that stopping Iran from getting a nuclear program is part of his America First approach to U.S. national security. And under that, he's determined that, and I'm saying I believe this, I don't want to speak for him, that this enrichment facility at Fordo, which is buried under a mountain, is a threat to American and global security because it is where Iran will start producing nuclear weapons. So I think that U.S. involvement will be very limited, and it will be limited to dropping bunker buster bombs to destroy that facility.
Do you believe if negotiations fail in the upcoming days that this will happen?
I think there's a good chance it will happen, but I also know there are other possibilities. There may be other ways to take this facility out. I think the Israelis have other options to destroy it. I don't know what they are, but I doubt the Israelis launched this attack against Iran without a plan to take out Fordo. Some people are saying that they're not capable of taking it out, but we will see.
Can bombing really stop Iran's nuclear program, or does it risk merely delaying enrichment while triggering a wider conflict?
It will deal a very serious blow to the program. These centrifuge machines cost billions of dollars. They took years to build. The technology and the knowledge necessary to keep them running has been lost. If Iran wants to further impoverish their people by rebuilding this program, I think that would be a tragedy. My hope is that they will move in another direction. Maybe this is going to delay a nuclear bomb from Iran, but recent information indicates that Iran was already planning on making weapons.
What happens if Iran retaliates?
Well, I mean, that's a question that many in the U.S. are asking, but I would argue that Iran is already at war with the United States. Iran has been trying to assassinate President Trump. I believe it was a strong backer of the Hamas terrorist attack against Israel on October 7th. It fired missiles against Israel twice in 2024. This is a rogue state that's been at war with the U.S., with Israel, and with many other nations for a long time.
However, it's Israel who now initiated strikes in the midst of negotiations between U.S. and Iran.
Israel decided it couldn't wait any longer because of how far Iran's nuclear program had advanced.
There is no unified view on Iran's nuclear intent. U.S. intelligence has said that Tehran hasn't yet made a decision to build a bomb. How do you reconcile that with the case for military intervention?
U.S. intelligence on Iran's nuclear program has been politicized for a long time. The facts are, and this was made clear by CIA Director John Ratcliffe, I think yesterday, that Iran has assembled all the parts and technology to almost immediately begin constructing a bomb. What basically we're looking at is that although Iran likely has an operational weapon, it has not fueled it yet. The intelligence community would like to say that this means Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapons program and hasn't decided to make a bomb. I think that's a silly analysis, and it is a way of looking at this issue that I think our intelligence agencies have to reverse.
But what concrete evidence do you believe supports the argument that Iran is nearing nuclear breakout?
Iran has assembled 900 pounds of uranium-235 at 60%. This is enough to fuel 9 to 10 bombs, an amount of uranium that has no peaceful purpose. We know Iran has at least 3 bomb plans. We know Iran is engaged in explosive testing to build a nuclear weapon. We know that Iran extensively cheated on the JCPOA to acquire technology to prepare a weapon. We know that Iran has prepared almost all of its nuclear facilities in secret, including Natanz and the Fordo site. The Fordo site, which is a deeply buried enrichment facility, was discovered by the IAEA long after it was operational. Well, that's a violation of Iran's treaty obligations under the NPT. If Iran's nuclear program is peaceful, why is it building all these large nuclear facilities in secret without declaring them to the IAEA?
But why is the U.S. intelligence hesitant to admit that, if that's the case?
Because the intelligence has been politicized, and it's interesting that National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard is actually firing and reassigning senior intelligence officers who have been writing assessments like this because they've been politicizing their analysis for many years.
Mr. Fleitz, moving on, is regime change in Iran currently being considered as a strategic objective in Washington and Jerusalem?
President Trump is not interested in pursuing regime change. He thinks that is the business of the Iranian people. That hasn't gone well for the United States in the past. But having said that, if these bombings of Iran brings down this regime, which is impoverishing its people and brought all this destruction upon its country by a pointless nuclear program, I think the Iranian people and the people of the world will be grateful.
And some experts, however, warn that the eventual death of Khamenei might not lead to liberalization, but to something more hardline or militarized. Do you share that concern?
I am. I'm concerned about that. I don't know who will rule Iran if the supreme leader falls. I think that's one reason why the U.S. has to stay out of the regime change business in this instance.